We did. We did.
So let's move on to Vergil Ortiz and Israil Madrimov. I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised this fight comes before Adames and Shiraz.
Well,
You would think it's the other
you
way
know.
around, but it's all good. Title fight,
Yeah. I mean, it is in the Middle East, so that's kind of why.
right? Shiraz is probably one of Turkey's favorites over there, if we're being
Oh,
real.
he is. But by the way, before we get into Vergil Ortiz, Madrimov, did you see Turkey's reaction when Shiraz
Shiraz,
dropped Amber Williams?
I did,
Yeah,
I did,
he's
yeah.
jumping up.
So we're not reaching there when we say Turkey probably loves Hamza Shiraz. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, on to Vergil Ortiz and Israel Madrimov. Um, yeah, I'll let you go first, man. I know you feel strongly about this fight.
Oh my God, yes. So a lot of people have been calling Madrimov the best 154 pounder, not named Terrence Crawford, because of how well he fought against Crawford. And I understand it because of who Terrence Crawford is. I don't quite see it that way. I feel like Madrimov didn't really have a stellar career before he fought Crawford because he there were some guys like Eric Walker who had some success against him when they fought. He had the fights against Michael Soro, who was a French contender. And Crawford's a smaller guy who moved up in weight, and he allowed Crawford to outwork him in those championship rounds. And I just feel like if you're the champion and that's your weight class, you shouldn't lose for that reason. So I still have questions about Madrimov. Great footwork, probably some of the best footwork, in boxing, which is why he gave Crawford a tough fight. But I just think that Vergil Ortiz is going to neutralize those legs. I think Vergil will neutralize the legs. He'll cut the ring off. He'll make him fight when he doesn't want to fight. And they have familiarity. They sparred. They sparred before.
Right.
And I think Vergil's going to stop him. I got Vergil by stoppage. The Vergil Ortiz power jab is one of the best in the business. I just would like to see him fight out of the regular high guard because when he fought Boachuk, he was fighting him with his lead hand down low, and he allowed Boachuk to land the straight right hand a lot, which led to some knockdowns and things like that. So, yeah, as long as he doesn't overcomplicate things, I feel like he should figure out Madrimov.
I
But it's a
feel
great fight.
I feel like those times Virgil dropped the lead hand. Part of it was he had to do different things. He couldn't shoot heat out of the high guard all night, and then he would throw so many combinations with everything on him that I think it took a little something out of him in spots of the fight. And those hands could drop down a little bit when you need a breather sometimes. And so I think that was part of it. I don't he can't just high guard it for 12 rounds at the highest level. And it sounds
Get
like,
it?
do you think Madrimov got overrated because of the Crawford fight, because of how competitive he was with Crawford?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%, because Terrence Crawford is one of the best fighters in the world. Some people say he's the best fighter in the world, right? But at the end of the day, he's still a guy who turned pro as a lightweight that, naturally is not a 154 pounder, and it was his first fight in the division. So if you're going to lose to Crawford, it shouldn't be because you allowed him to out hustle you in the championship rounds. That should be the least reason why you lose fight to Crawford. Getting stopped by him because he counterpunched you a certain way, that's okay, but not because you didn't give it your all down the stretch of a fight. And that's where I have questions about him because if you can't sell out all the way in the championship rounds against Terrence Crawford, then will you do it against Vergil, who's a naturally bigger guy? He throws punches with more heat on them more often at 154. I have my questions. Maybe I'll look stupid and Madrimov will outclass and stop Vergil, but I like Vergil in this fight a lot.
Well, a couple things I'll note in Madramov's favor is Virgil still looks like a welterweight growing into 154, and Madrimov is stout and solid at 154. I mean, he's
Yeah,
he's built very strong at 54, and that physical strength gave Crawford some issues, along with what you said, his feints and that Eastern European style. And he's a creative
Central
guy.
Asian,
Say again.
Central Asian, Uzbekistan, a little bit.
Uzbekistan, former
Yeah, yeah,
Soviet Union, kind
yeah,
of.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Thank
yeah.
you, thank you for the correction. Seriously, but
Because if I didn't say that, they're gonna get in the comments and clown you. So
Brendan's got me covered. Thank you.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they got what I meant. But I get what they
yeah,
mean. So, and then Ortiz, he's been hit by right hands. Boachuk put him down with the right hand.
yeah.
Kaviaskis hurt him with right hands. He's been hit with some right hands. And Madrimov hit Crawford with a bunch of right hands because he's very good at disguising that shot and setting it up. And he's quick on the trigger with it. He can sneak it in there. Good placement. Good
Yeah.
footwork and feints to get that shot off. And he's got a hook to follow it up. Going back and forward and throwing it off the right hand. He's a good fighter, no doubt about it. That's why he gave Crawford one of the most competitive fights in a minute. And then Ortiz is vulnerable for that right hand, but at the end of the day, I got Ortiz too because his speed and his velocity. I think like sometimes this happened with Benavidez, but and even Canelo. When you're a come forward guy who is a puncher, sometimes and people are going, "Oh, Benavidez isn't a puncher at 175," but when you're a come forward guy who's very offensive, sometimes you don't get credit for your skills and your hand speed. And I think Vergil,
Right.
like I watched Xander Zayas over the weekend, the first thing that jumped out to me in the first round about Xander was, man, Ortiz was so much faster punch for punch
Mm.
in person when I covered his fight with Boachuk. So I think his hand speed, the fact that he throws a bunch of heat and a bunch of punches per round, he can do it over 12. Coming off 12 with Boachuk is going to pay dividends. That's going to be a very valuable experience for him. Having to go through that war with Boachuk is going to make him better for this fight. I think he'll grow into the weight a little bit more. And he's not as savvy or as crafty as Madrimov, but I think he's got a little bit more dog in him. And I think, to your point, he's gonna make Madrimov fight when he doesn't want to fight. He's gonna throw more combinations. He's gonna get hit with right hands. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little bit like the Kaviaskis fight. He gets put on
Mm.
Bambi legs a couple times. Maybe even gets dropped like the Boachuk fight. But I think Ortiz's combination punching, speed and power. He has a good jab.
His body punching,
Body punching. Yep. Body punching. His ferocity. I think he's
correct.
more ferocious in there than Israil
His
Madrimov.
his overall presence in the ring that he
Yeah.
has.
Force of natureness.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, I think Madrimov is gonna lack the overall offensive punch selection, the variety and punch selection to really trouble Vergil. I think to Boachuk is probably one of, if not the most well-conditioned fighter at 154. Like he don't get tired. Like he don't
Right.
lose fights
Right.
or tired. Madrimov don't have that kind of gas tank, but Madrimov is better than Boachuk in other areas. So that's the whole intrigue of the fight is can Vergil work out that style? I think he can. I think he will.
Yeah, Madrimov is going to have to slow this thing down, unlike Boachuk. He's not as durable or relentless as Boachuk. He's definitely craftier, more skilled, and quicker.
Yeah.
Quicker hands. But I got Ortiz. I got Ortiz, and I think this fight, in a weird way, it could tell us a lot about Canelo Crawford. I think if Ortiz goes in there and handles Madrimov, I think that could kind of tell you Crawford might be too light in the ass for Canelo at 68. Now, if Madrimov proves both of us wrong and puts Ortiz on his ass and stops him, then I think you got to look at Crawford like, okay, you got to put more respect on him winning that decision against Madrimov.
Yeah, that fight, it'll force us and many others to look at that fight in a much different light, a much different perspective. I agree with that.
All right, so